AM 560. The Answer.
Trying to decide which way to go, Squirrel. Should we go with how successful these Democrat scumbags are? No matter where they take over, the death, destruction, the ghettos that pop up overnight? Or should we go with some crooked Democrat doctors? Let's do both. Shall we, Squirrel? I think we shall. For instance, Congresswoman Kaka. You know much about Congresswoman Jayapal, Squirrel? She's got that one giant left eyeball. I said, look at me when I talk to you. It's 3 times the size of her right, hence the nickname Congresswoman Cockeye. Well, she is from Seattle. Seattle is a ghetto, and it coincides with how many Democrats they've elected.
Have you been afraid to eat lettuce lately? Well, the recent parasite outbreak shows how important public health is, especially as Republicans and RFK Jr. continue to undermine critical programs at every possible chance. But it also raises another divide in this country, and it has to do with how expensive produce has become. Because while there are...
Well, the company that allowed the diseased lettuce to go out is a Democrat scum company where they embezzled millions and tens of millions, the owner, the girl, and all that COVID money from the dimwit in diapers. But she'll never tell you that. She's going to tell you that it's about Trump and the big, beautiful bill, which allows workers to keep more of their own money, which is the real problem these fascist Nazi commie pigs have, whether they have one giant eye or not. Cockeye.
Many valid concerns about the parasite, there are millions of Americans who can't even afford to buy produce in the first place. It doesn't help that in the big bad betrayal bill that Republicans passed last...
Ooh, big bad betrayal bill. Does it cut money to scumbags? I think it does. And that is why I personally love it. Where was so much of this money going? Here's Scott Turner, who is part of the Trump administration, as I believe HUD. And he's telling you what these Democrat sanctuary ghettos give out for free.
And I learned about, this is a bag that I learned that they're giving our homeless neighbors with American taxpayer dollars. And in this bag, when you go in here, now we're talking about helping the most vulnerable people in our country, a continuum of care. This is not a continuum of care that I'm looking for. This is drug paraphernalia that's in this bag. This brown bag that's handed to people, homeless people, that are addicted to drugs, that have mental illness, hard-working people's money. People are putting these together with their hands to give to people that are already addicted. Has nothing to do with politics. Has everything to do with caring for people properly. This is not the continuum of care that I'm looking for.
$24 billion. Billion with a B. $24,000 million in the wind. And they're walking around with paper bags with drug paraphernalia. That's where the money goes. You're going to give more money to these imbeciles that can run nothing? Which explains some good news, Squirrel. Good news!
Could Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson be getting recalled? Well, that process has now been started, and we are with Melinda Jacobson, who filed the paperwork to start that recall process. Melinda, what's motivating you to do this?
The mayor is a disaster as far as public safety goes in this city. Just an absolute disaster.
There's a lot of steps to file a recall and to even get to the point where there could potentially be a recall petition. What is basically your allegation for why she should be removed from office?
She hasn't delivered on public safety. The North Aurora corridor, it's horrible.
Chaos, drug addicts, homeless, crime through the roof. You know, the usual. And the recall has but one flaw, Squirrel. And it's the same flaw as Gavin Newsom's. Who does the counting? Stalin? Who counts the ballots? We're going to rely on more Democrats, scallywags, who understand all they have to do is deliver a fraudulent outcome of an election, and you get to steal trillions like 2020?
From the affidavit, designed in a way that the system could change the vote of each voter without being detected. Smartmatic agreed to create such a system and produce the software and hardware that accomplished the result for President Chavez. After the Smartmatic electoral management system was put in place, he closely observed several elections where the results were manipulated using the Smartmatic software. He was in the control room where multiple digital display screens were shown for results and voting. The actual voting results were fed into that room and onto the displays over an internet feed, which was connected to a sophisticated computer system created by Smartmatic. People in that room were able to see in real time whether the vote that came through the electronic voting system was in their favor or against them. If one looked at any particular screen, they could determine that the vote from any specific area or as a national total was going to be against either candidate. Persons controlling the vote tabulation computer had the ability to change the reporting of votes by moving votes from one candidate to another by using the Smartmatic software.
Sidney, you tweeted earlier about CIA and its association. What have you discovered there?
Well, other than the fact there's no way all this was happening around the world without the CIA knowing about it. I mean, that's just logic. This affidavit also explains it's been used to change election results all over the world. And it's all Venezuelan and Cuban and essentially communist money that's been doing this. It's a foreign-owned company, as you mentioned earlier. The president of it is Mr. Neppinger, who is on Biden's very presumptuous and immediately failing transition team. And people have been reporting this to our government for several years, including Democrats, and nobody's done a damn thing about it, Lou. I can't even express how furious I am over this.
She was attacked. She was bankrupted. Her reputation assassinated. Sidney Powell was right the whole fracking time. And what happens afterwards? Trillions and trillions of dollars. I have but one correction for Sidney. Communists don't have any money. They live like Democrats in Chicago on charity and welfare, extortion and fraud.
$5 trillion in payments that are untraceable. The budget line is blank. And they're worried about your Bitcoin. 5 trillion, untraceable. No idea where it went and how it was spent. A $5 trillion blank check. Social Security sent out $72 billion in bad checks. Guess who resigned last night? The head of Social Security.
You know, the same Social Security under the Biden regime of incompetence and stupidity, who gave how many illegal aliens Social Security numbers?
And then you'll notice there's a strange trend here where how many Social Security numbers were issued. Do you want to?
Yeah, so let me tell you what happened here. We started at the top of the system.
You want to talk a bit louder, maybe?
We started at the top of the system,
When a guy worth $1 trillion tells you to talk louder, Squirrel, you know what you do? You talk louder!
The whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff that we're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away.
And who's going to adjudicate? Who's going to arrest? Who exactly is in charge of all of the sanctuary areas? The people who are stealing the money that is in the name of Social Security numbers, EIN numbers, but moreover, illegal aliens. And you know how they identify themselves? Not just because they're on kickback schemes for Medicare fraud and Medicaid fraud, but because they still to this day will defend the illegal alien cockroach.
I'm proud that we signed one of the most comprehensive laws to rein in ICE in the entire country. It prohibits law enforcement agencies from having formal agreements with ICE. That means unless a crime has been committed, ICE...
By the way, Kathy Hochul, Botox face, couldn't blink during this whole clip, Squirrel. This is today. Couldn't blink her left eye. You had the Botox too close to the nerve. You look ridiculous, whore. This is a governor talking about using her power to not ignore federal law, but to actively participate against it. What is treason? Anybody?
Cannot use local cops their jails, their technology to use local cops for civil immigration enforcement. I want to remind everybody who happens to have these in their counties or their sheriff's departments, that law goes into effect in less than 2 weeks. You have 13 days. You're on notice. 13 days to formally unwind any agreements that you've had with ICE. And for any that fail to comply, they will face legal action.
That's subversion. Crooked judges, crooked governor, undermining federal law. Blanche, arrest that bimbo. She could use the time off of Botox to let her swelling go down so she could blink again. 312-642-5600.
Marxists, socialists, and communists are not welcome on the Sean Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.